Nick Vivian from T News. We're here still at ITB day one. I have not gone anywhere, but thankfully I have a new guest with me, Merschen from Myriad. So let's talk a little bit about luxury. How has that definition changed for travelers? Has it changed, and how?
I think it's a great question in the sense that we look at it from the industry and say, how do we define luxury? The reality is it's out of our hands, it's in the hands of the traveler and how they define luxury. There's certain givens that people want and expect, and that has to be there as a base, but then it becomes very bespoke as to what that person describes luxury and how they expect to be delivered.
So that sounds really complicated, actually. So if luxury is personally defined, how do you market for that personal definition, huh?
And I think it's one of the things that's happened is that line between marketing and sales has blurred very much. And where is that marketing done and the sales picked up? Where is the distribution channel now becoming even more important than it was? I think there was a long time where the distribution channel was pulled out and we said we can market to that person will book direct. Now the resurgence, if you will, of the travel agent has brought in some of that customization and pure luxury as defined by the client and as serviced by the agent.
So it kind of matters where you put your inventory then. So distributing when you have luxury content to put it in the right places as well, would you say?
I think so. And I think, one of the things that, especially that our studies have revealed too, is there used to be this association with affluence and luxury, and that's not always the case. I might be affluent, but I don't always want luxury. And I might not necessarily be affluent, but I aspire to luxury and might include some luxury in my trip. It's not a linear situation like it was before. The person might do 5-star for 2 nights and 3-star for 5 nights. So they mix it up and it's not all the same. So it is really changing from that perspective.
The barefoot luxury kind of vibe?
I think we call it sometimes untucked luxury, where I want to be relaxed, but I still want the 5-star service and the 5-star experience.
So you've done studies and for luxury travel. What are some of the expectations you're seeing, in the broader sense? Maybe not as much as the personalized luxury, but if you're looking for kind of macro trends, what would you say is a good place to be?
Well, I think it comes down to once again, if the basics of the property, if you will, are there, then it comes down to the experience. Can it be, once again, a customized experience? Can it be a specific guide who knows the level that this individual needs? Can it be almost working backwards to the point of saying, what's that story that you want that person to take home? And working from that perspective as opposed to hardware. It's really been a shift. What's the software delivery for that client? How's that going to be executed? From the property or experiential side of it, how much leverage does that person have to make something very special for that client and for that client to feel very special too? That's really what it comes down to.
I like the analogy of hardware and software kind of in this sort of context. So would hardware be the property and software be the service? Is
exactly. And the experience too. I think now a lot of properties are looking and saying, well, we can do the hardware, we can do the 10,000 count sheets of linen, but what's that person going to take home? It's going to be the experience. And what can I do in my local community? What can I do in the area that reflects the culture that person has that special experience? It might not even be on property. Ironically, there might be a 5-star property, but the highlight of this luxury adventure might be having dinner with a local family. And that's luxurious to a lot of people. That's the 5-star experience that they want. So it's that combination of serving what they need. I think the other element that's so important is the cultural part. They don't want cookie cutter luxury either. They don't want to walk in and say, well, this could be the Waldorf Astoria in 10 different cities. What makes it special that it's in Africa or Asia? What's the experience that I'm getting that's not the same that I would get in Beverly Hills, that I'm going to get in one of the stands? What makes it unique for me that it was worth my while to come here?
It was interesting. I was watching the Chris Rock, his latest special, and he actually had a segment. I don't know if you saw it, where he is going to a resort in Jamaica, and they're on the bus through all the slums and all this stuff, and how the poverty, and then they get to this 5-star resort, and he basically, the punchline is that, wow, isn't Jamaica fantastic?
Exactly.
And it really made me think a lot about the implications of luxury versus reality, and the way you can play with both of those.
Exactly.
Let's talk about trickle down a little bit. As the luxury end develops and people have these, I guess, higher end expectations on a more lower end budget, does that trickle down into the properties in the mass market?
I think so. I mean, I think when you look at it, even historically, even a 3-star hotel sometimes has a presidential suite. And they're pushing that for the aspirational part, and then the delivery is sometimes below that. And that's okay, because people still want to be a part of it. One of the things we're seeing with a lot of millennials, are even more specifically millennial families, which are the ones we see as the highest growth market now out of the US, is they might do 3-star for 5 nights, do 1 night of the ultra 5-star. Of course, that's where they're posting from, that 1 night of the 5-star, and everybody precludes that that's the entire experience, but they save the money by doing the 3-star so they can experience the 5-star. So once again, it's not a linear process, it's a mix somehow too. Does that all trickle down? Yes. But I think for most of the tour operators and the properties, they want it to trickle up. They want that to be that aspirational part where we'll come in at this level and bring them up to that, knowing that it's there. So I think it works both ways.
And I love the idea of a combination of providers maybe working together. If you know someone is going to stay only 1 night in a 5-star, perhaps you can partner with a nearby 3-star or make a package around that.
And I think there's some great examples of that. Banyan Tree in Asia also has sub-brands, and sometimes they have 2 to 3 brands on the same property. So someone might stay in the 4-star but dine in the 5-star. Someone might stay in the 5-star but do some of the sporting activities in the 4-star. It makes sense economically for them to amortize their cost and some of the attributes that they have throughout the different properties, but it also gives that variety and a taste for those people who want to trickle up, if you will, and get that feel for it. So there's some great examples of that.
Great, thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much. This is Nick Vivian from T News. We are here day 1 at ITB. There'll be more clips to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you.